To this family, this neighborhood on a Saturday morning, the 28th day in the month of March 2026. Like every other morning, my name is Adebayo Samuel. It hasn't changed, and the show this morning is Talk Radio. In case you just joined our family, we welcome you and we say welcome to the family meeting. It holds every Saturday morning on Talk Radio. On Talk Radio, what we do is pretty simple. We sit as a family, point out to issues in society, and we come up with the core causes of the problems, the challenges, the updates. We look at the problems face to face, and we come up with solutions. Always coming up with solutions so that we, as a responsible people, as a responsible family, can begin to effect the changes we want to see in society. On those shows, we have guests coming from different spheres of life to comment on issues of society. And this morning, from the civil society, we have Utwekong Franklin Isong. I call him the Director General of CRAN. I know that's not his position, but he's live here in the studios with me, and together we're going to look at subject matter in our society. A very good morning to you, Utwekong, and thank you so much for making our time to join us. Instead of going to play golf.
Good morning, Bayo. Yeah, because I prefer to speak for the governance of the state and the country, and at this moment we are in a critical situation. Golf will always be there. The golf course is always there, and for me, I think that the country needs to continue to move in the direction of good governance and then putting things in place. So I think after now, we'll still go and hit a few golf balls and then get my day going. Thank you for hosting me.
We do not take your time for granted. Same way we do not take you at home for granted. So this conversation is also open to you. We'd love to hear from you, hear your questions, your opinions, your commendations, your condemnations of the situation, so that together we can pack the dust. You know, it's environmental sanitation in Akwa Ibom today. Though there is no restriction of movement, but let's clean our houses, let's clean our areas, and let's clean our society and rid it of dirt so we can have a better society for us, our children, and the ones unborn. This morning, we're looking at the state of government and governance in Nigeria, looking at the state of political parties, politics, and politicking. That's where we are this morning. And if you've been stuck to your TV sets since yesterday, the ruling All Progressive Congress, the APC, has been embroiled in very active convention. Started yesterday afternoon, all through the night, and the 8th convention of the party is ongoing at the Eagle Square in Abuja. Yes, yesterday evening they had the pre-convention, then the voting all night, counting of votes and tallying to affirm the leadership of their party. And we'll be expecting that pretty soon we'll get to hear the outcomes. We'll be expecting to hear how they proceed to the convention, the elected Congress, where we'll get to know who occupies what position and where. But in the course of the week, we're seeing the Progressive Congress do that, which is some sign of internal democracy, some will say, while some are also in the school of thought that while the nation bleeds and wails, politicians are playing politics. On the flip side, though, we're also seeing that other political parties may not be doing so much. The options that Nigerians may be looking for in places where they feel that their leaders have not delivered, and we're looking at options. But then, just yesterday, we saw that the Turaki-led board of the PDP went ahead to declare that they will be going to the Supreme Court, which means a luta continua. Would there be any Victoria Sata in the PDP? The Labour Party, on the other hand, did postpone their conventions, so we'll be looking to see how that plays out. There is back and forth in the ADC and so many other parties, just to mention a few. And I dare ask you, considering all of this, politics and politicking in Nigeria, Are we headed in the right direction ahead of 2027?
First, I must say that we are headed towards having a 2027 election.
The timetable is out for that.
Yes, the machinery has already been set by the assent given by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the Electoral Act, amended the 2022 Electoral Act. And so all the parties are now on top gear. The INEC has released timetable, which they are now following. So this is now, setting the tone. Timetable is out, and so all the parties must work within the time frame and timetable. So this is now the machinery that will set up the 2027 election. Now, you mentioned the political party congresses. Of course, this is what will ensure that we have internal democracy. In the Electoral Act 2022 that was amended in 2026, Section 84 talks about internal party democracy, that now instead of having delegates, primaries or delegate convention, you need to have party members converging. That is direct primaries now. So all the party members at the ward level must have to converge to vote for who will become the party leaders and who emerges. Then if you want to elect a governor, same thing will happen. The candidate will emerge through direct primaries. Now, the law also allows for consensus, but under stringent conditions, that all those who have shown interest to becoming, for instance, a governor or governor of the state must have to consent, because the word consensus, they must have to consent to by withdrawing in writing that they have withdrawn from the contest. If out of 5 aspirants, one refuses to withdraw, then it means that there will be a primary that will be held. So that is how the law has been, so placed so as to enable us to have internal democracy. The act also brought in the issue of dual party membership. The case of place holding. Somebody will just be hanging there holding a party A. Somebody will be in party A holding a position for somebody that is in party B. So when the person in party B loses the contest, he now returns back to party A and occupies that post that was held for him. This thing happened in the last election, where some persons went to court and then challenged the fact that the person who finally emerged was not the person who stood for the primaries of the party. Now that mischief has now been cured in the Electoral Act, now that says you cannot be a dual party member. Your membership of a party remains sacrosanct. If that section of the law is violated, any person who is found wanting is liable to pay a fine of 10 million naira or 2 years imprisonment. So all of this has now set the tone for us to have internal party discipline and internal party machineries to be firm. Now, for the APC, that is the party that is leading the country, we are currently having their convention in Abuja. The faction has also gone to court. Faction of the APC had gone to court to challenge the process that led to the convention. The congresses, that there were issues, that where you say consensus, persons still had interest. They did not comply with the law by withdrawing in writing. So all these are issues that are going to be resolved in court. Now you look at it, the APC they now have issues in court. They would have been mega party that is in opposition, that is those who are in the opposition party, the PDP, are also having theirs. You have the Wike faction, and you have the other faction who has now resolved yesterday to approach the Supreme Court to challenge the Court of Appeal judgment that nullified the party convention that was held in Ogun State. So all of these put together are issues. The ADC still have their issues. And then you talked about the IPAC that is, threatening to challenge to call for the amendment of the Electoral Act to allow for more, issues to be addressed. So all of these put together are what I believe should be resolved on or before elections.
Now, when we talk about resolution of all of these issues in courts, the first question you'd ask is, why do we even bother to look at the other parties and the things that are ongoing, the court cases back and forth? Because let's look at this holistically. Nigerians at all levels are looking for options. We're saying if what we have is good, if what we have is bad, if what we have is the worst, Where are the options? But if it appears as though the options we have are still tearing each other's jugular out in the courts, how then do we provide viable options to Nigerians going into the 2027 elections?
You see, where you have imposition, which is what the law, the act, had addressed, that there should be no imposition of candidates. Where that imposition exists, you will have internal crisis of the party. And any party that is seeking to lead a country like Nigeria must not have crisis within, must not be a party that will impose candidates. Let the persons who are emerge from the people. So that will not give you that will not give us the true leadership. So there will always be crisis where you should change the process or jump the process that ought to be followed. Everybody has a right, equal opportunity. Let everybody have the same playing field to test their popularity on the field by the people. But where you breach, where you violate any of these provisions of the act, you will be setting tone for crisis. But the court is there to always resolve these issues. Like you asked me, to what extent? Yes, it will continue to linger. Even after elections, you still have petitions, you still have issues coming up. But what we are saying in the CSOs is that, can we have all these issues, pre- and post-election litigations, resolved before the swearing in of anyone? So that nobody will go into office with legal baggage. You now use the state fund to bankroll your litigations in court. It happened in 2019, where I think the Supreme Court tongue-lashed the federal government, the federal attorney general, for using the Ministry of Justice, lawyers from the Ministry of Justice, to go to defend the president who was currently on seat over a matter that has to do with his election that came from the polls. So if we can resolve all these issues before swearing in of anyone, that would have been the best system for us. So you don't have anyone going into office with legal baggage and being distracted. So for the next 1 year, 6 months, you have someone who is in the office, but he's going to court. He's not going to court as per appearance, but his matter is in court. His faith is hanging in the balance. So he is not even been able to steady, to focus, to give us governance. By the time he is done with 1 year, 6 month litigations into his tenure, you've already finished, almost a half.
If political parties resolve their internal democracies, do you think we'll be stuck in this rut of court cases over court cases?
I think, okay, let me even say this. I read a compendium by, I think, one of the aides of Pastor Omoino, where he reported that the governor had over 26 cases in court, up to Supreme Court. Now, within the party and with that party. So all of these cases contributed to cock in the wheel of progress of governance. There is no how you will not have these issues. As much as we are human beings, everybody is a political animal. Now, when you, like I have said before, the only way you will, have a contest like we had when Jonathan conceded to Buhari without going to court, without challenging the president. His party still went. Yes, his party still went. But then, that is the only way. When the process is free, fair, and transparent, I can bet you the opponent who has lost will lose gallantly. But anyone who